Want to know how to start your company and get it to 500 million in valuation in 36 months? You're going to love this. Brandon Bornancin, the CEO of Seamless.AI, explains exactly how he did it and how he helps others do it as well. Take a look.
Welcome to SaaS-Story in the Making, the podcast that features the people who made the software world what it is today and the leaders who are shaping the future of technology. Here's your host, Matt Wallach.
Welcome. This is SaaS-Story in the Making. I am Matt. I am your host, and I'm super glad to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. And I'm really excited to talk with Brandon Bornancin, my special guest today. Brandon, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the amazing SaaS-Story in the Making.
Yes, absolutely. I love the energy. Brandon, you are awesome. I know you're doing some great stuff out there. So let me tell everybody about you. So for those of you who don't know, Brandon is the CEO of Seamless.AI. Seamless.AI maximizes revenue, increases sales, and acquires your total addressable market instantly using artificial intelligence. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that. He's also a #1 best-selling author of 3 books. He's a serial salesperson and 2-time 8-figure entrepreneur and a motivational speaker. He's also the Sales Thought Leader of the Year at InsideSales.com. So he's doing a lot of stuff out there. You definitely need to know him. Once again, Brandon, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, super excited to be here. Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely. So tell me, what's been going on with you lately and what's coming up?
Yeah, I built the #1. So those that don't know me, Brandon Bornancin, CEO and founder of Seamless.AI, built Seamless, which is the #1 sales software that finds emails and cell phones for everyone in the world that you need to sell to. I believe the life you want, the family you want, the cars, the houses, the vacations, the commissions, the sales, the deals, the appointments you want is all going to be fueled by your ability to sell and acquire new customers. The only way to sell and acquire new customers is if you have the #1 thing, which is the list. If you don't have the list, you can't sell to anyone. More contacts equals more contracts. So when I was selling for IBM and Google, I was paying millions of dollars to Dun & Bradstreet and ZoomInfo, and they were missing 90% of the people I needed to sell to. And I'm like, this is so stupid because you've got 500 people in an office cold calling a company directory, asking for emails and phone numbers and names and titles. I'm like, selling for IBM and Google, this shit can all be automated. Like, you could have engineers build a search engine. You could have engineers use AI. So I was like, I'm done dropping millions of dollars on all these shitty databases. And we built our own platform, which is Seamless, this search engine that finds cell phones and emails for everyone in the world, automates list building. And we're, I believe, one of the fastest SaaS companies, definitely in the sales and MarTech space, to go from 0 to $500 million in valuation in less than 36 months. And guess what? You know how we did it? We had the list with Seamless. We sold the list 24/7, and that's the key to everything.
So you used your own product. That's beautiful.
Yeah, 100%. 95% of our sales comes from outbound selling, and the only thing we do is outbound sell to our list.
That's awesome. So I totally love this story. It's perfect. You saw a need. Necessity is the mother of invention. You experienced pain. You needed to solve that problem. You didn't have a good answer out there in the market. And so you went out and solved it. What better software story than that is there?
100%. And I mean, it's very difficult, right? Like, it takes millions of dollars. It takes years of hard work to build. This is why the Dun & Bradstreets, the Zooms, like they launch like a list building, like cold calling people to find data, because that's 10 times easier to launch. It's very difficult to say, hey, Sergey Brin. So Sergey Brin, the founder of Google, is an investor. Him and his wife are an investor in Seamless. They tried to sell Google for $700,000. They tried to sell Google for $10 million. So the $700,000, I believe, was either to Time Warner, AOL, one of them, I forget. And then the same thing happened at 10 million. They were forced to continue building Google because no one would buy them.
Ridiculous.
And
that's just crazy.
It's difficult to do, but if you crack it, you never quit, you'll rock and roll. And we use that to acquire, almost 50,000 customers. And then I also raised nearly $100 million in venture capital, building a list using Seamless, cold selling to the list of VCs, angel investors, venture capitalists, and then boom, closed a seed round, then boom, closed a growth round, and boom.
So beautiful. So it not only works just for your own sales and marketing, but for also getting to investors.
100%.
Probably partners.
I prospected thousands. I mean, I built a list of 22,000 VCs using Seamless. I actually ended up prospecting I think 2,700 that met my criteria. They were VCs and investors and angels in SaaS, high transaction. You prioritize sales investors. If I cold call a healthcare investor and I say, hey, I'm building the number one sales software, they won't listen to you, right? So you got to be targeted. And then I ended up pitching 347 VCs. It's actually now it's 420. 420, and then 247 said no or whatever.
Wow. That is super, super cool. What a good story. So can you give us a little rundown? How does it help exactly? Obviously, It's awesome for outbound. How does it help?
So the number one thing companies need to survive and thrive and do anything is sales, right? If you have no sales, you have no business. If you have no sales, you have no employees. If you have no sales, you will eventually, over time, no matter how much an investor gives you money, you will run out of cash and you will die. So if you look at, how do you generate sales? The number one, I was always a big fan of The One Thing by the Keller Williams author. It's what's the one thing that you need that would drive the most amount of sales? And then I just realized it's the list. It's what I spend 50% of my time on. So Seamless automates the list building. It automates finding the leads that you need to sell to. It automates researching cell phones and emails, and then it gets all this data. It's like using Google for sales, where you can type in any name, title, company, or LinkedIn, except this search engine will also give you the emails, cell phones, and hundreds of insights for all these people, all researched instantly in real time using artificial intelligence and our 10-step AI engine. So as a salesperson, if you, Matt, hired a new person at your SaaS company, and let's just say you're a startup, hey, we need to get to 10 customers so we could do an accelerator. Then we need to get to 100 customers so we could raise a seed round. Then we need to get to 1,000 customers so we could raise a Series A, and then whatever, right? Well, if I need to acquire 100 customers, I need a list of 1,000 decision makers. Seamless, you'll be able to type in the criteria. Hey, I sell to this industry, these titles, this employee size, boom, boom, boom. You get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people that match that criteria with their emails and cell phones all researched in the platform. So it just automates 50% or more of the non-selling work. Because if I hired you as a salesperson, I only want you prospecting, pitching, and closing.
Of course.
I don't pay you to research.
No,
I didn't hire you from Stanford with a research PhD to sit there and build lists. I want you on the phones, the email, the social media. I want you closing. So Seamless will automate that list building for you.
I love it. So what methods have you seen? Now that they've got the data, they've got the information, what methods have you used? What methods have you seen some of the best used to generate that pipeline and get it really active?
Yeah, number one, I like to call it the 7-figure sales math. So really reverse engineering how many leads per day do you need to sell to hit 7 figures in sales per rep. Everyone's got a different rep with a different quota, right? If you're at Dell EMC and you've got one account, your quota may be 15 million. But on average, a lot of the reps that we talk to, they've got a 7-figure quota. So we'll say, you've got $1 million quota. There's 265 sales days in a year. What is the average deal size? So then you could figure out $1 million divided by 265. My average deal size is $1,000. I need to close X amount of deals a day to hit the million. I need Y amount of appointments to close X amount of deals. I need Z amount of leads to book the appointments to close the sales per day. And then that's just if you're at 100% to quota. So I say, do the 7-figure sales math, multiply it by 3, 4, 5x. And that way you ensure that you're doing double, triple, quadruple the amount of activity. You crush your quota. And I think the math to figure out how many people you need to be selling to every day to crush your quota is the first step. Second step, going into a platform like Seamless.AI. And by the way, the platform's free. So join for free. And then if you want unlimited leads, it's like $100 a month per user. So it's very affordable. Then build the list every day to hit that number. And then once you build the list, I recommend, like, because we've got cell phones for everyone, I recommend being on the phone, dialing all the time, calling these people. While you're calling them, do the multi-channel LinkedIn messaging, emailing, you name it. So if you're on a dialer or whatever, call while you're emailing, while you're social selling, and that way you're maximizing multi-channel outreach. And then the last secret to all of that is you got to pick a niche to get rich. The riches are in the niches. If like you're a SaaS company that sells to VPs of IT in 50 to 200 employee sizes, like pick that one niche versus any IT person at any company in the world. So you can write your messaging about all the pain points, all the biggest desires, all the value propositions, the things that would light them up like the 4th of July or a Christmas tree. When you send that email, you make that call, that literally takes them from where they're at today to where they want to go tomorrow to be successful. And all this stuff I share in you know, all of my books, right? Like Sales Secrets, whatever it takes. Like a lot of these books talk about this stuff.
Oh, perfect.
But that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I completely agree about the niches there. So many times I have software founders coming to me saying, Matt, I need help. We're not getting anything done. We're not getting any traction. I start to dive into their model and what's going on. And I say, okay, who are you selling to? Everyone. Like everyone. You're selling to everyone. Come on. We've got to find a niche. And you said it, your messaging, once you've picked that niche, your messaging can be directly to that person. It resonates with them. But not only that, you can develop your product towards that person. Your sales calls can be directly hit at right what they're talking about. Your salespeople can speak their lingo. It makes it so much easier when you pick that niche and you really drive home, notwithstanding the fact that when you're selling to everybody, you're now up against the big players, against the Googles and the Salesforces and all those that are selling to everybody. You now are going up against their marketing budgets and their development budgets. When you pick a niche, you might be one of 2 or 3, and that's it. And now you just have to beat those competitors. So it's so much better to hit that niche. I love that feedback, Brandon. That's perfect.
Yeah, no, it's critical. I mean, we just kept niching down. Like if you've got the list and then you niche down with the list and your messaging is highly custom to those personas, the decision makers, the users, the influencers, right? Like you'll figure out who would buy or use your product the fastest to then get the sale and get the deal, right? It just helps you scale. That's how we went from 0 to $500 million valuation company and tens of thousands of customers, you know, in less than 36 months because of that process that we highlighted, those 4 or 5 steps.
I love it. I love it. That's super smart what you've been able to do on the upfront side, getting the customers in the door. I want to ask you now that you've seen that growth, and I've been a part of very high growth SaaS companies as well, how have you managed that growth in terms of getting the right people on board, making sure your team understands what they're doing, keeping your culture alive as you scale? How has all that gone?
Yeah, I mean, it's gone well, but you're never satisfied. I think that the greatest secret for entrepreneurs is to like never be satisfied. This is my 3rd company. My first company, I did 12 million at the age of 18, 19, and 20 for the gambling industry. That made me super egotistical because I was a kid that turned into a millionaire. When I launched my second company at 21, 22, 23, I lost it all because I didn't listen to anyone. So I got lucky having 12 million and then losing it all and going 100K in debt because my second company was an absolute failure. So it taught me that when you think you know it all, you're going to get your ass kicked by just not knowing and also not listening and trying to learn and be coachable from other people. So at our company, the reason why we've been able to grow and maintain our culture is we're so hungry and we're never satisfied and we're always trying to improve. And we've got 4 core values that we just preach in and out every day, in and out every day. Number 1, positivity. Like the whole world is negative. You have to be positive. You have to be positive with problems. You have to be positive with challenges, with opportunity, you name it. The whole company is very positive. because you find solutions when you're positive and you've got a positive belief system. Number 2 is coachability. Improve 1% a day and learn something from everyone. Learn from the books, learn from the courses, the masterminds, the experts. You do not know everything. And the minute that you think you know everything, you're going to get your ass kicked by someone like me who believes that they do not know everything. And I will learn everything that you don't know, and then I will leap you. So you got to be learning and you got to be coachable. The third one is hard work. Hustle beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I've hired tons of incredibly smart people here at the company. Luckily, only a few of them didn't make it because they didn't hustle. They were smart, but they didn't put in the action. They didn't take action. They didn't go all out. They didn't make it happen. And that's just a waste of potential. So you got to work hard. True. And then lastly, the fourth one, which I wrote the book on, whatever it takes. I don't know where it's at. Yeah, whatever it takes right here. You just got to be willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done.
So true. I love what you're sharing. It's very, very an interesting story at such a young age to become a millionaire. I want to understand, just for all those who are starting companies now, you talked about overconfidence in the second company. What other mistakes did you make that some of our founders and leaders listening right now need to avoid?
Luckily, I learned this before building Seamless. This was when I was selling for IBM. So I sold for IBM and I sold for Google. And when I moved from selling from IBM to Google, I'd like 5 to 10x my income and became a multi-millionaire as a salesperson. So that was the first time I was selling and became a millionaire as a salesperson. That then, I built the sales software to automate it. But at IBM, I was selling for commissions. I was closing massive deals, massive companies for myself. And I wanted to make the money. And it was all about the money for me. And when I left IBM in a very toxic company culture, not the whole company, just at the one division, at the one time, like I got a lot of respect for IBM. There's a lot of really talented people. I love them over there. But I was part of a very toxic team, toxic new business culture. Wow. Everything wrong, it's because of you. Everything right, it's because of me, the boss of you.
Wow.
And no collaboration, no support. It was a shitty place to be. I was there for like 2.5, 3 years, made a lot of money, but it like negatively impacted me. So then when I left and went to Google, like selling for Google at Google's search agency, they had a completely different mindset. Hey, you have to give all the credit to your team, assume all the failures and responsibility for all the failures. Also, I just realized if I want to sell and close these deals to change the customer's life. And I for some reason, when I left from IBM to selling for Google, I was like, I don't give a shit about the commission. I want to change these people's lives. And I went all in on the customer. I literally believed if I did not get that customer to use Google at that time, their life, their family, their houses, their mortgage, their kids, everything would be at risk. They would lose it all because they would go with another advertiser and it wouldn't get the returns. Then they would get fired. Then they would be on the streets and then they'd get divorced and then they would starve to death and die. So I just like kind of just embodied this all in, I want to change this person's life for the better mentality without worrying about money and making deposits versus withdrawals from people. And that helped me make 3, 5, 10x the amount of money I was making selling for IBM. So then when I built Seamless to automate selling at Google, which really was the big contributor for me becoming a millionaire selling for Google, I was like, dude, I'm going to help everyone. Instead of using this just myself, I'm going to give this tool to everyone in the world. And it's just having that servant leadership. I don't like, Matt, I'm on this podcast with zero expectations of getting anything from you, your audience, I just want to help your audience, SaaS, entrepreneurs, salespeople, regardless of what I get. And I think when you continuously try to help people, help, you'll change a lot of lives for the better. And I'm on a mission to positively impact 1 billion people and help the world connect to opportunity. And I think that's a big secret.
That is a big secret. I completely agree. And you're right. You came on this podcast because I asked you. A lot of people come to me and ask to be on the show and say, "Hey, I want to come on." Obviously, maybe they've got some motive there. But I asked you, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" And you were like, "Yeah, let's go see if we can share some good stuff," which I absolutely appreciated and love.
And I'm super grateful, right? Like I don't take that for granted. I'm like, hey, who's Matt's audience? Where are they at? Where do they need to go? That's about that servant leadership, right? Like figuring out where people are at, where do they need to go? What can you offer and provide a value to get them there? And by the way, we're on this show, guys, like secret, like stop competing. Matt has a podcast. I have a podcast, right? I saw Matt's this badass production in the background or whatever. I complimented Matt, dude, your show looks badass. Like, I was like, I'm like, how do I do all the effects and the production and all that shit? Like, I'm complimenting him and I'm getting my audience to now follow him without wanting anything in return. I made a deposit into Matt live on LinkedIn. And then he's like, dude, you should come on my show. Like, because another secret, the only person you're in competition with is yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. So there are other SaaS coaches that I'm great friends with. They do great stuff. Sometimes I send them business if it's not perfect for me. In fact, you and I think we actually match up perfectly. You find leads. I help people close deals. It's kind of a perfect match. 100%. And you came on the show. I'm speaking at your event, which I'm looking forward to. Super jacked about that. I want to make sure I hit on something that you said that is so critical and only the top elite salespeople really understand it. So it proves you're elite, but I want to make sure everybody else gets this learning because you hit it and it's important, but people might have missed it and focused on other things. You said that if you were very concerned because if the prospect doesn't get your product, it could severely negatively impact them. Meaning it's not about you closing a deal and making a commission. It's more about this person needs this. They have to understand how important this product is because if they don't have it, they're going to, it's going to affect them severely. And that's something that I teach my clients on week 1 is get in the mindset of you have an excellent product and what you've built, what you have can deliver outstanding results. And not only that, if the prospect doesn't have it, they're going to wallow in their same challenges and issues and problems and continue to go through bad cycles. They're not going to get the benefit, the value that your product delivers, meaning they're going to get hurt. Plus, whoever they're serving then doesn't get taken care of and doesn't get as good of service or good a solution that they need, meaning you have an exponential impact. So it is super important that you know how to sell for them. You have to be great at convincing them and showing them the value, or else they're not going to choose you and it's going to hurt them. I love that you said that.
Yeah, it's like a negative compounding interest, right? So let's just say Seamless, right? I believe fundamentally that the number one thing that will change your life forever is the list. Like you're just one list away from all of your goals and dreams, right? So if Matt runs a SaaS company of 100 people, and I know that COVID hit their business hard and they don't have the list of all the customers that they need to sell to. If I don't show Matt the value and how this is going to transform his life and I miss that sale, that one list that he could have built using Seamless, he could have found 1, 10, 20, 100 customers that would have brought in $1 million, $10 million, $100 million in sales. And then guess what happens? He ends up shutting down the business. 100 people get laid off. And then guess what? The 100 people that got laid off, 50 of them lose their house. They lose their family. You just have to realize that you have to be the tough gym trainer. I always talk about the gym trainer. Every time I go to the gym, I hate it. But my trainer's just I'm going to take you from where you're at to where you want to go. I like a gym trainer better than saying you got to be a consultative salesperson, right? Because hey, here's where you're at. I'm going to take you there. I'm your trainer and I'm going to get you in shape, your sales in shape. And it's just those people you hate that are telling you run on the treadmill, eat healthy, do this, but that's what you need to be. You need
makes you better.
You need to show them and push them that get rid of all your limiting beliefs. This is what you need to do. This is the value and results it's going to deliver and make it happen. Help them overcome. 90% of the objection is they just are scared because everyone tries to make you scared. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You're not fast enough. The whole world is telling you you're not great enough to accomplish success. And if you've got the list and you can break down those limiting beliefs, you can do anything.
I love it. I love it. And it's so cool. You have a gym trainer analogy. I have a gym trainer analogy as well. It's slightly different. My gym trainer analogy refers to taking charge. I'm a big believer that you must take charge in your sales and interactions. If you are the salesperson, if you're the founder selling, you must be the one leading the call. That's one of the big facets of the perfect deal process. The L and D is lead. And I always use the gym trainer analogy on why you should lead. Think about it. You're out of shape. You had a few extra desserts. You go to a trainer. Do you tell him what you're going to do? Do you go to the trainer and say, okay, I'm going to start doing this and this? No. If you went to the trainer, he tells you what needs to happen and what you're going to do, or she. It's not you. So same thing. If you're running a sales process and running sales calls and demos, you are the one who is the expert. You are the one who needs to decide what's going to happen, and you take control and make it happen. Take the lead in your sales calls, just like a trainer takes the lead and gives the advice of what needs to happen. Super cool that we both have the gym trainer analogy, but slightly different reasons
100%,
why.
100%. I think that's awesome. Yeah, it makes total sense. And and then when you get into bigger missions, like my goal is to get every single salesperson, marketer, entrepreneur into this club. This is the President's Club Awards. So
That's cool.
I launched a global President's Club where when you make 6 or 7 figures in sales using Seamless and the sales secrets and the strategies like Matt's talking about, you go to presidentsclubawards.com and we ship you this award. So every day when I wake up, I go into my office and I've got this thing staring at me. And every day I'm like, I need to get the 500,000 people on Seamless into this club. Like, I will die before I give up trying to get every single person in the club. Like, and I think having a big mission, because if I create 500,000 millionaires, right, 100% of the users into the President's Club Award, dude, that will come around somehow. Like,
absolutely.
I'm not worried about the money right now to get you into this club, but once I do, you may hire 100 people and then get them on Seamless. You may buy my books for 10, 20 bucks, and then that changes someone's life, and then they refer a new employee. Like, I just know when you go all in, when you've got the list and you go all in with the servant leadership and you're just selling and working to change people's lives, it's going to come back around, dude. Yeah.
It's awesome. I completely agree. That is so cool. I love the award thing. I love that it gives somebody something to focus on and aim towards. That's absolutely critical. I think that's a fantastic program that you guys have there.
What? Yeah, that's a $1,000 award too. So I literally, like, my software is free or $100 a month. When you win that award, I pretty much lose money on you because there's also cost to acquire a customer. Probably to win you as a customer, I had sales expenses, marketing expenses, whatever. But again, I'm just like, I always wanted a global President's Club because there were some companies that I worked with or worked at that didn't have one. I thought that was kind of shitty. So I'm like, we need to create one that's global, and can we bring all of the winners together, like at an event? That'd be even more incredible.
I think that's super, super cool that you're doing that. What advice would you give for a software founder who's just getting started? What should they think about? What should they be focusing on as they're trying to create a high growth?
Sales is the number one thing in the world. Like, from 0 to $100 million in sales. Okay, so maybe not 0 to 100 million. It's like, I would say 0 to $50 million in sales. Sales is the number one thing that's important for you. Like, build the list, sell the list, and keep selling to the list. And just like, I worked with so many startups, entrepreneurs, founders, and myself where I worried about all this other bullshit. Where the reality is it's all about cash flow. It's all about sales. Because when you want venture capital money, venture debt, again, like I used Seamless to raise over $100 million in funding. I didn't take all of that money, but I've had commits for over 100 million. Everyone looks at what is your MRR and ARR, your monthly recurring revenue, your annual recurring revenue.
For sure.
The only thing people care about is that. For a bank or anyone to lend you any money, they look at your MRR and ARR. You have to be all in on sales, build the list, sell the list. If you can master selling and if you can master list building, like you could do anything. I'm telling you, anything.
So true. I absolutely love it. It's a great model. Sales is number one, regardless of how amazing your product is and what you built. If you can't sell it, you're out of luck. Super, super cool stuff, Brandon. I love your energy. I love your commitment to helping people. I want to know, how can our audience learn more about you and Seamless?
Yeah. So I do a daily newsletter, daily secrets at Seamless.AI. You could join for free and get our daily newsletter. Also, would love to connect with you guys. I post new daily content on LinkedIn and YouTube and our podcasts, our Sales Secrets podcast. So just search Brandon Bornancin on LinkedIn, YouTube, Apple, iTunes, you name it. Subscribe, follow. We've got unique custom content per channel. So we're coming to you live every day. Would love to help you get to where you want to go. Oh yeah, lastly, for entrepreneurs, real quick, last secret. Matt, do you care if I drop it?
Yeah, for sure.
This is one that I don't think anyone thinks about. So I always thought, like, man, if I just had that mansion, I'd be happy. Okay, like then I made a shitload of money and I bought the mansion. I'm like, man, well, I got the mansion. If I just had the Ferrari and the Lamborghini and the Bentley and the Tesla, I'd be happy. So then I got the Bentley, the Lambo, the Ferrari, all this shit, right? Then I'd be happy. Then I got that. Then I'm like, man, well, my house isn't on the water, so I need another house, mansion on the water, and that will make me happy. And then I bought that. I bought a famous quarterback's house on the water in Florida. And like, none of this shit will make you more happy than changing the lives of other people for the better. Like, you'll buy the Ferrari. I'm telling you, because I got one in my garage. I bought it. 2 weeks. I was excited. Boom, gone. Like, you'll have a void. And I'm like, oh, well, I need a Lamborghini. Boom, got it. The stupid, like, those things are cool. Honestly, I think I'm going to get rid of all my cars and all my shit. Like, probably not my 2 houses. I may get rid of the 2 houses just so I have 100% liquidity. But as entrepreneurs and SaaS owners, guys, like, don't keep moving the puck for like personal product bullshit that you'll buy. It's cool. It's flashy. No one gives a shit. And it will not ultimately make you super happy. But what will kind of create this unstoppable force is when you go all in on changing people's lives and you just keep positively impacting people. And I wish someone told me that 10 years ago. I learned that 7 years ago.
Well, I've learned it recently as well. So I completely agree. I've had exits myself. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of great stuff. You get a lot of cool things. But now that I'm a coach helping other people do the same, when I can hear somebody tell me that they're struggling and that their family is in trouble and they've got some major problems, and if nothing changes, then their company's shot and they've got to figure out what to do. And then a few months later, after I show them what to do and how to do it, they go off and now they're seeing incredible success and they're seeing their numbers rise and they're seeing investors coming to them and they're seeing results of exits even. That is awesome. To be able to help people and change their lives is much more valuable to me than all the things that I was able to acquire. So I completely agree with you, Brandon. It's so true. It's too bad that it's taken us that long to learn it, but hopefully somebody out there hears this and recognizes that that's what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And everyone out there, good luck. Crush it. You got this. Entrepreneurship, building SaaS companies, hard. You've got great people like Matt, like me, and others around you that are cheering you on from the sidelines. And you could do it. Like, you could do it. There's no one stopping you but you, and you got this.
Very well said. I love it. Well, we'll put all the information for Seamless and such in the notes. So if you're on the podcast, check the show notes. If you're on YouTube, check the description down below. But Brandon, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matt. Make sure everyone tune in. Share the SaaS-Story in the Making podcast for Matt. Help him promote this thing, get it out into more people. If it helped you in any way, help him, help others.
You heard it. I couldn't say it any better myself. Go ahead and subscribe to the show. Make sure you're giving us comments and feedback on what you like, what you don't like, so we can bring you awesome creators like Brandon every single week. Super awesome to have you here. Thank you for coming. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Take care.